Hello everyone, happy 2022. I hope you had a fantastic holidays. Today's video is a follow-up on a video I made a while ago on why gymnastic rings could be a great implement to do pull-ups with if you are recovering from elbow tendonitis. As I mentioned in that video, I developed an acute medial epicondylitis in the inside part of my elbow at the start of 2020. The symptoms are extreme tenderness and pain where the tendons of the forearm muscles attach to the bony bump on the inside of the elbow. Fortunately for me, I fully recovered from this painful injury, and today I'd like to share with all of you what I specifically did to overcome this issue. Disclaimer: this is not medical advice. This is just a random guy on the internet telling you what I did to heal my golfer's elbow, which happened to have worked for me. So please don't take my story as set in stone, unquestionable truth, but rather as broad guidelines that you might want to consider to test for yourself to see if it works for you. But before we get started, smash the like button if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and pick the all option when you click on the notification bell so that you never miss a future video. Alright, the first thing I'd like to discuss is expectations on your recovery time. It just seems logical to think that the longer you've had this condition, the longer it'll take to heal. I'm only pointing this out because some of the time recommendations I'll be giving you in this video have to do with my personal situation, my individual circumstances. It might not apply to you. To give you an idea, I had this tendonitis for about 3 to 4 months before I decided to tackle the problem. And in the process, I went through distinct phases, from slight but bearable discomfort to nagging pain all the way down to pull-ups hurt like hell, to the point where I couldn't do them anymore. It took me roughly the same time to be able to do pull-ups pain-free all over again. But if your tendon issue has lingered for much longer, it is only reasonable to assume that it will take a longer period of time for your tendon to heal. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm not here to offer you a quick fix solution, nor do I wish to sell you on one. The reality is that you have to be boringly patient with your execution and be mentally ready to do unsexy work for a long time before things get better. Unlike muscles, tendons are avascular, which means that this type of connective tissue has very poor blood flow, and blood happens to carry the building blocks that promote healing. And this is also why total rest of the affected tendon is not a viable approach. It is movement that promotes better blood flow into the area. Resting only makes the pain go away for as long as you don't perform the movement that caused the injury in the first place. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not willing to let go of such a fantastic upper body movement like a pull-up forever, so I committed to sucking it up for a few months to be able to do pull-ups pain-free once again in the near future. And the last thing I'd like to stress before moving on to the second part of this video is to remind you that avoiding pain altogether is not realistic. In fact, pain must be present throughout the entire recovery process. You would want to play around with tolerable levels of pain though. Pain will be useful in measuring your progress over time. If the exercises you perform gradually cause less and less pain, that is a positive sign that you're moving in the right direction. So, to sum it all up, the 4 most important takeaways so far in the video are: 1. Rest is not an option unless you are willing to give up on pull-ups forever. 2. Tendons take a long time to heal. This is likely to be a multi-month endeavor, so be patient. 3. Motion is healing lotion, baby. Dynamic drills will promote blood flow into the damaged tendon. And 4. Tolerable pain is unavoidable, so embrace it. Alright, in the second part of this video I'm going to discuss the specifics of what I did to recover from golfer's elbow. The first thing I had to do was to stop doing pull-ups altogether. The area would flare up to unbearable levels of pain every time I did a few repetitions. It was no longer worth it, and it would negatively affect my performance in other movements during my workout. Trust me when I tell you that I didn't want to do it, but I finally made the decision. Pull-ups had to go away from my training, at least temporarily. The second step I took was to find a similar movement where elbow pain was significantly lower. I picked inverted rows with gymnastic rings, and if I have to describe this movement in terms of pain, I would say that they were like a muffled version of a pull-up. Pain was present in each repetition, but compared to pull-ups, this muted level of pain was almost a relief. More importantly, inverted rows are performed with your feet on the ground, thus it was very easy for me to scale my pain level. The higher the percentage of my body weight I had to pull, the higher the pain was. The more favorable angle, the lower it was. So all I did for pulling movements for about 2 months was inverted rows with rings. Now let me clarify something really important here. I did not use inverted rows to overload horizontal pull like I would for my typical strength training. That's not what I wanted to do back then. I used this movement for therapeutic purposes only. The intensity was very low. The goal was never proximity to muscular failure, but rather to expose the elbow area to some minor loading in order to fix the degradation of the tendon through regular blood flow. You should use your own pain scale to assess whether your exercise selection is the right match for you. If you pick an exercise that causes you way too much pain to the point where you're not able to finish a set, then you're probably not ready for that movement yet, which is fine. Just make sure that you consider other options, perhaps smaller exercises. I spent roughly 8 to 10 weeks doing inverted rows at light intensities, and I would only increase the load ever so slightly if I noticed that both my training and post-training pain were getting better and shorter in duration. My third course of action was to complete sets of 100 curls with resistance bands twice a day, almost every day. And here I followed similar guidelines. I did slow and controlled repetitions to promote blood flow into the degraded tendon. I would also throw in some tricep extensions in the mix to cover the two functions of the elbow joint. I warned you, I told you that this was going to be excruciatingly boring, but hey, I personally prefer boring for a while than painful forever. Think about that. Once I noticed that the pain was gradually getting better over the course of those 2 months, I decided to play around with eccentric loading. I wish I could give you a more specific frequency recommendation, but the truth of the matter is that I perform a few sets of eccentric curls every now and then. I increased the load very gradually over time, and after a while I was doing negative reps with a 5 kg dumbbell. Again, not for the purpose of growing muscle, but rather to confront the elbow area with minor loading and high repetitions. After being consistent with these drills for about 3 months, the pain was almost gone. However, I was still skeptical about reintroducing pull-ups into my routine, so I didn't take the final step until a little later on in the year. In the meantime, I focused on other posterior chain exercises during my regular strength training, like RDLs and row movements. Let's recap quickly what I did for the recovery of my elbow. 1. I removed the trigger movement. Pull-ups were off the table temporarily. 2. I replaced pull-ups for a similar exercise that would cause much less pain in the damaged tendon. 3. This swapping of movements was further supported through daily single joint specific work. 4. In both cases, the intensity was low and the rep count high. 5. I progressed these two whenever I felt like the pain was getting better and the post-training tenderness shorter in duration. 6. After a few weeks, I exposed my elbow to slow eccentric curls with light weights. 7. I didn't complete a single pull-up throughout the entire process. And 8. Once I got back to my regular training, I didn't jump into pull-ups right away. Instead, I focused on other movements that target similar muscle groups. If you've made it this far in the video and you feel like you're getting a lot of value out of it, please smash the like button to appease the YouTube gods, make me feel like I have some friends, and help this channel grow so that I can positively impact more and more people around the world. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just here for the money and fame.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
Wait, what? Are we still recording? Oh shit. Alright, the third and last part of this video is gonna be about the reintroduction of the pull-up into my regular routine. How did I do it? Which variation of the pull-up did I use? Did the pain come back? And all these sorts of questions. Just let me show you. First, context. I haven't done a single pull-up for a few months. I've been consistent with my recovery and I've been training at full throttle once again for around 6 weeks without any elbow pain. Once all these were in place, I decided it was time to bring the movement back. At the gym, I would do a few slow reps of a regression of a pull-up with gymnastic rings as part of my training. Still not trying to complete a regular set, just accumulating volume that would replicate the angles that caused the excruciating pain in the first place. It didn't hurt doing this, so things were looking up. I first started to do pull-ups at home because I could loop a set of gymnastic rings to my pull-up bar. By doing reps with these two movable objects, I gained some wiggle room for a less rigid shoulder-elbow interaction. It just happens that the rings allow my body for angles I'm better designed for anatomically. After a couple of weeks accumulating reps at home and slowly rebuilding my confidence in the gym, I decided to take the last final step. I gave pull-ups with a straight bar a go. However, I did make a significant change in my technique when performing pull-ups with a pronated grip. From that moment on, every time I do regular pull-ups with a straight bar, I rarely ever grip the bar with my thumb underneath. It's getting pretty sunny. Wow, the sun is coming out. So, look, here's the thing. I can't actually tell you to which degree this grip relief strategy has contributed in staving off golfer's elbow, but it seems to have helped me in the successful reintroduction of the movement pain-free. In sum, half a year later, I was finally able to complete my first full-out set of pull-ups within a regular strength training routine. I did it. I came back from my golfer's elbow and it hasn't bothered me ever since. It's been more than a year that I've been able to do all sorts of pull-ups, pronated, neutral, supinated grip, you name it, with zero elbow pain, by the way. Thank God, because I freaking love pull-ups. Check out these two videos, I think you're gonna like them. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the top bell reading all to get notified every time a new video goes live. Stay fit, stay strong, peace.